Today, we're going to meet a very interesting lady that lives in New Westminster. And she lives her values, passionate about the human experience. She's a business owner. She's a trainer. She's a consultant. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's a wonderful lady. I've had the privilege of knowing her for the last little while. Akeela B. Davis. What does the B stand for, Akeela?
BB, BIBI, but I've always felt that was too frivolous for me. That's my playful side.
Akeela B. Davis sounds very authoritative about what you do.
Thank you.
Well, tell us a little about your philosophy and what you do and how you do what you do, given that we're in this pandemic right now.
Well, my philosophy in life is, I guess if I had to sum it up in one sentence, it's do no harm. Okay. And live your passions. Because so many people, did you know that 92% of people never meet their goals? And to me, that's sad. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping I can change to a certain degree. And it's one of the reasons I train and certify practitioners in what I do so that there's a ripple effect and we can impact more people. Now,
I call them patients. They're really not patients. They're your clients.
yes, they are.
Are many of them not focused on their goals because they're frustrated they just don't reach their goals? And how do you correct that imbalance in them?
Well, most people want to reach their goals. Be it weight loss, to get the job they want, to complete something, they really want to. But what they say and what they do not always correlate. As a financial advisor for 17 years, people would tell me they want to save money for their retirement. And yet, the first thing they would do when we've accumulated some money is go on a vacation. It doesn't mean you can't go on a vacation, but you should be balancing those two needs. And then it wasn't until I got into the motivation maps that I realized that people don't know what motivates them. They think they know, but what we're running on is automatic and on the programming given to us by our parents, our teachers, the movies, song. And it impacts our relationships. It impacts the way we spend our money. It impacts whether or not we reach our goals. It's like people who would like to lose some weight. And then as soon as they're feeling sad or disappointed, they go to comfort eating. Well, that's because as a child, when they were feeling bad, mom would say, have a cookie. And it makes them feel better. And that's their automatic go-to behavior.
I would think that a lot of your audience are business people, both men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So goal setting for them should be a national, but based on what you've just said, they might set the goals, but they seldom achieve those goals. How can they bridge that gap?
Well, one of the things we talk about first when I'm working with people is let's see what motivates you, because sometimes your motivators can end up being destructive to your business. And I'll give you an example. I've worked with people who they really want to make a difference. They are so charged with making a difference. They're putting everything they have into it, but they find they're not making enough money. When we do their motivators, their top motivators, one is yes, making a difference, but their last motivator is they don't appreciate the recognition. As a matter of fact, quite often they're disdainful of people whom they see as wanting recognition. And in part, that's because growing up, you were told to never blow your own horn. You have to be modest. You have to be, you don't put yourself forward. So they don't do that. And until I can make the connection for them, say, look, you want to make a difference, but if people don't know you and they don't know what you do and how you do it, how can you make a difference to them? And it's like a little light bulb going on in their heads. That makes sense. And by that reframing, what it does, they're no longer going out they're no longer putting forward their testimonials or having people speak to them because they want the praise. They're doing it as a way of forwarding their agenda of helping more people.
Well, one of the universal goals, both men and women virtually all over the world, would be to lose weight. I want to lose 10 pounds or 12 pounds or 15 pounds.
Yes.
Why do the majority of people stop halfway through or go off track and don't complete their goals? And how can they reverse that?
There's two reasons. I have been quite heavy for the last 15, 20 years because I was so busy working. I didn't have time to look after myself, what I ate. I was always out to lunch with clients and hadn't learned good habits, things like that. And I put on a lot of weight. And then about 3 years ago, I thought, you know, I would like to be around for my grandchildren if and when they get here. I would like to be able to teach them the things that are no longer available to them except by hearsay or from somebody they respect. And if I continue going the way I'm going, it's not going to happen. At one point, I was at 185 pounds.
Well,
Yesterday, I hit 130.
good for you. Good for you.
And that was
Do
because,
you have a bigger goal in mind from that?
no, my doctor says he's quite happy with that. I'd like to go down to about 125. Because as I said to my son this morning, this is the weight I was the week before he was born. I'd like to go back a little before that.
Mhm.
So that's one reason is people don't have a bigger why. As they don't understand their bigger why. It's not just losing weight, but every time I would take something that I know isn't good for me, I'd say, is this worth my grandchildren's future? And the answer is usually no. The other part is attention. Like people think attention and motivation are the same thing. They're not. But we say, okay, we're going to lose weight. And we put our attention and intention for losing weight. But then life happens and our attention drifts to something else. And when that happens, we forget all about the losing weight, or we remember for a few days and then it goes on again. So, one of the reasons, if you want to lose weight, you have to keep that attention on that goal. Okay? Not just the intent.
Whatever your target is.
Yeah, well, first you have your intention to lose so many pounds, and then your attention on what you're eating on a daily basis, on what you're doing, the things that would help you to lose weight. Even if it's 5 minutes of attention, you meditate on that, it will help.
Okay.
Because what we think about is what we get in life.
I think it was Earl Nightingale said once, you become what you think about most of the time.
Absolutely.
And I I lost 70 pounds in the last 2 years.
Wow.
And the main reason I did that is because I was looking chubby, obviously, but I couldn't control my blood pressure other than pills. And so my doctor said, you just got to lose some weight, Pete, and that will get your blood pressure under control, which it has. But it took almost 2 years. And, I lost a couple of pounds, put on a pound, lost a couple of pounds, put on a pound, but I kept working at it. And now I started at 223 and now I'm 170. And I'm happy to be at 170.
That is wonderful. And that's something else because when I was too preoccupied to worry about myself, it impacted my health. The stress of being a financial planner, the not eating right, all of those things came together and I became diabetic. I will not say I am diabetic because that's not my identity, but I became diabetic. And I have been so happy in the last few months. I'm off the daily insulin. They've stopped one of my medications. And just last week, my high blood pressure meds were cut in half.
Well,
I'm going in the opposite direction that people my age usually go, which is
yes.
wonderful.
Now, are there similar traits that go with habits that cause you to lose weight that can affect other aspects of your life about earning money, positions, health, not health just in terms of weight, but in terms of working out? Are they similar habits?
Yes, Peter, there are. So I believe that how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Hmm.
Whether whether we realize it or not, how we look at our money or how we are with our money is how we are with our relationships. It's how we are at work. We just don't see it. So yes, they are the same. And there's another aspect when I talk about motivations, is that we can have competing motivations, which shows up in our lives as the lack of clarity, as indecisiveness, as self-sabotaging. You know,
Is it a good practice to whatever goal or dream or vision you have for yourself to write down that goal, dream, or vision? Like I want to weigh 170 pounds, or I want to work out 3 days a week, or whatever it happens to be. I want to save X number of dollars for my retirement, which comes a lot faster than people think it does.
yes,
Uh,
absolutely. You know what? Writing it down and putting it where you can see it, or put it someplace else that something that you open on a regular basis, not that everyday basis, and it goes, oh yes, I've said that. That's what I said earlier about bringing your attention back to what it is that you want to do.
hmm, hmm.
So that's one way of doing it. Another habit that is great to develop is, what am I doing now? One of the wonderful things I used to do for my clients, and they appreciated it, I would say, for 2 weeks, I'd just like you to write down what you spend. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter. I don't want you to stop what you're doing. I don't want you to change your habits. I just want you to write down what you spend. And by the end of the 2 weeks, when they look at it, it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was spending so much on that. That's not where I wanted to go.
Hmm.
And it was a habit that I still practice every year, because we have a tendency to go off track so easily. So every year I bring myself back to it and say, is my money going where I want it to go? Is my time going where I want it to go? Um, and whatever it is that you're looking for is, are you doing the things that will help you get there? And the only way to measure that is to look at your actions and your activities in the direction of that goal.
So, do you take a goal or a dream or a vision that you have for your life in some aspect, and you write down the day you start? Do you then write down what would happen a month or 2 months or 3 months down the road?
That depends on who you are.
Okay.
Some people having a goal or having a list or having a deadline can be daunting. They feel confined. They don't feel like they could do it. They feel like they're going to fail from the start. So they don't even try. So if you're that type of person, you can write down what you want, but know in your head the goal is written in stone. The timeline may not be.
Okay.
You
Very good.
want to go as far as you can and take time to look back on how far you've come, because people tend to look at, oh, I want to have 100,000 in my bank account, but I've only got 10, whereas they started with one. So it's more important to say, wow, I have now 10,000. That's 9 times more than I started with.
Hmm.
And going forward for the next little bit, let's see how much I can do. So that is more helpful. There's other people like myself who deadlines stimulate my mind. I don't like just meeting deadlines. I love beating deadlines.
Hmm.
So it depends on who you are. And again, part of how does your mind work?
Tell me, where did you acquire these skills or learn these skills to be able to have a practice?
You know, ever since I was 16, I remember sitting in a mall and people watching and wondering what they were thinking and what they were feeling and why they were there. And I started reading psychology books and I started taking classes whenever I can. And it was just last year, my brother said to me, "Why didn't you ever become a psychologist?"
Hmm.
You know? And I said, I'd never thought about it, but because of who I am, I love variety. And I would have felt trapped in academia.
Hmm.
As you can see, you know a little bit of my background. It's very varied, from computers to finances to now working with peoples and companies on what motivates them. It's, I need the freedom to move to where I want to go. But underlying all of that was my interest in people, and that has not waned. I probably have acquired a PhD from all of my studies that
Yeah,
I've done,
absolutely.
from neurolinguistics, brain science, to NLP. You name it, I've had my fingers in it and got as much information as I could, because people fascinates me.
Where can people get a hold of you if they wish to talk to you or wish to hire you to help them with their needs?
Well, I am on LinkedIn. My phone number is a very simple one, 778-791-3905. And we have a website going up right now, and I don't have the link for it. And my email is adavis@courageousbc.com.
I
And
like
that's, yeah, thank you. You know,
bc.com. Hey, this has been very, very interesting. I really appreciate you coming on this morning. Thank you very much.